Hey guys and gals, the Pulp is back. I'm your host X, and with me I have my co-host Darryl E. Banks. How are you, Darryl?
I'm pretty good. I'm right here. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. But before, where can people find you on the social media?
Yeah, you can find me on social media, Twitter at DEBanks.
Parzival XL. So find us on Twitter, and you'll see our handles in the description below, and so you can follow us and whatever. But let's get into the movie. We just watched Captain Marvel this weekend, and we're here to give you the review. Let's start. What do you think of the movie?
Huh. Well, where do I begin, huh? Well, just to start, let me just bring it back because it was one of our most anticipated movies of the year. So, for me personally, I was very excited at first to watch the movie. I was really into it. I was really excited after Infinity War, and I'm priming up for Avengers Endgame. And just in general, I'm a Brie Larson fan. Like, I was hoping the best for her. And I know that there was like some controversies, and the want to watch score on Rotten Tomatoes went down to as little as 27%, but I was still for the most part excited. So that's how I went into the movie. And I guess when it started for me, it started off a little bit cold and I wasn't fully invested story wise. And with that, I don't think the movie caught up to that. There were a lot of good things about the movie too. Like, I think there was a lot of really good chemistry between Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. There was a lot of other good stuff about it, but there was also a lot of bad story elements that I don't think that the movie worked well with. So I landed there right in the middle. What about you?
Yeah, something very similar. I remember when we recorded our most anticipated movies of this year. I remember by that time I had already seen the trailer for Captain Marvel, and I do remember saying you guys can go back and check that. I didn't the trailer didn't sell me on the movie, so my expectations of the movie were that it was gonna be if I can just say a mediocre movie. Saying that, I think that after watching the movie, it's probably just one level above mediocrity, for me at least. It came out to be just as I expected it, but maybe just a tiny little better than what I thought it was gonna be. So I'm kind of like right there with you. If someone asks me straight up, well, what did you think of the movie? I'll say it's an okay movie. By MCU standards, maybe not their best, right? But it's a movie that it's tied into two other movies, Infinity War and this upcoming movie, Endgame. You know, they're both Avenger movies, so you almost have to go and watch it. And yeah, I mean, we can get into details. Same as you, there are things that I liked about the movie, and there's some things that I actually hated about the movie. When it comes to the politics and all this stuff, before watching the movie, I didn't know much about it. And in the last couple of days after watching the movie, I actually saw what she had said and whatnot. And I don't particularly agree with what she said, but I put that stuff all aside.
Yeah.
I like to review the movie for what it is, just the film itself, and that's what we're gonna do. And yeah, it's an okay movie. That's the best way to put it.
So it sounds like we both started at opposite ends where I was a bit more excited, you was a little bit less, but we both ended up somewhere in the middle
Yeah, we
of
both
it.
ended
Yeah.
up in it's an okay movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot, or I think there's enough. I shouldn't say a lot. There's enough in this movie that we can unpack a bit. And I think there's a lot of things that happened that could have made it so much of a better movie. Like, I don't think that there was a lot of tension within Captain Marvel herself and her storyline. The villain in the movie felt flat
Completely.
in my estimation. And I think, as always, a superhero movie is as good as its villain. They could have paid more attention into that dynamic. And also, with Captain Marvel's powers herself, I think they could have played a lot more into what it means to have that power, to be able to hold all that power. I never felt sucked in and bought in by her character, A, and B, by her power.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. even after watching the movie, I'm not sure where her powers come from, what the entirety of her powers are. And then there's not a good thing when you don't know, like when you go watch a superhero movie and you don't know why they're a superhero. I'm not really sure what the entirety of her powers are, and if she's gonna play a real big role in the upcoming Avengers film, if she's gonna be able to fight Thanos without the help of anyone else. Is she that powerful?
I kind of felt like the movie was telling us, okay, we get it, like we're all superheroes now, we're just gonna like just throw in another superhero into the mix. And I think that doesn't do the character Carol Danvers or Captain Marvel any credit, because we don't really get to be invested in her or her powers. I think we're just like droning along in the movie without getting that full essence of what it means to be Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's a weird transition. I mean, it's hard to get into without getting into spoilers, but it's a weird transition from when the movie starts. And when the movie starts, she already has powers, and by the end of the movie, her powers have changed dramatically, let's say. And the way that they make that transition, it's a little weird. And another thing, it's a very by the numbers movie. Yeah. I thought it was very predictable. I could almost see what was going to come next. It's one of those origin stories that you almost know exactly what's going to happen. And I think that's a missed opportunity, especially, with the big hype that this movie was coming from.
Yeah, and I think that's where it falls flat for me, because they hyped up the movie more than what it actually is.
Yes.
Other than that, though, I will say that the movie is kind of funny. It's not all the way funny. I think they could have done a better job with that too. There's a good, nice buddy cop element to it that I loved, which is probably my favorite part of it, between Carol and Nick.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's a buddy cop movie between Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, and that is the best part of the movie.
And what did you think about the action? Because I don't even know where I land on that, about the fight scenes and stuff.
I'm not too crazy about it. Some scenes I enjoyed and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then other stuff I was like, yeah, I've seen thousands of the scenes before, especially, throughout the entire MCU, all those movies. There was some of them were very bland, things that we've seen 1,000 times. And a few of them were pretty cool. I don't know. They could have done so much better. This is the thing with this movie. So I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna think about this movie as the what could have been movie, because it had so much potential, but they just failed at so many levels. And I'm not saying that the movie is bad. I'm not, because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I got bored at a couple of parts of the movie, but overall I really enjoyed the movie. But it had so much potential, and that's what upsets me the most, because it has so much potential, and they just went with the standard superhero stuff, and that's what kind of like bothers me a little bit about this movie.
Yeah, I totally get you. I think if they make Captain Marvel 2, I hope they get rid of the writers, the director, and they need to bring out the best of what this movie had more. And I think it would have been on a higher tier. This was what I was also thinking, by the way. I was thinking laying it all down, all the Marvel MCU movies. This is the 21st from top to bottom. I think this movie would land right in the middle.
Yeah,
and for someone who's supposed to be the most powerful Avenger, I think it probably sounded like it should be closer to the top than in the middle, which is my biggest criticism, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I came into this movie thinking it was gonna be a mediocre movie just based on what I saw in the trailers. And surprisingly enough, the movie came out to be just slightly better than what I thought it was going to be. But that's not praising it much. It's not a good thing, I think.
I think we should head into spoilers now so we could tell you guys exactly why we think these things.
Yeah, I think we should get into that.
And now, time for spoilers.
Okay, so the main thing that I hated about this movie, it's one particular scene Which, by the way, it's this part of the movie where it really really bored me to death. I wanted it to just get it done with, and it's when they go to Louisiana to find Brie Larson's ex-pilot partner or best friend. Her
Rambeau.
name Maria Rambeau, and that whole scene in Louisiana, it was bored me to death. And at one point, once they get done with all the exposition, so they can tell you exactly what happened to Brie Larson and how she became Captain Marvel, she asked her best friend, Maria Rambeau, to go into this almost suicidal mission to go into space and save, spoilers, the Skrulls that turn out to be good people instead of being, the villains of the movie. Which, by the way,
it's a good
twist.
I love that twist.
I don't know much, I don't know much about Captain Marvel. I almost don't read any comics whatsoever. But I've always known that the Skrulls are villains throughout the entire Marvel universe. When they flip that and they actually make you care about the Skrulls, that's a good twist in my opinion. So that was a good thing. I'll give the movie points for that. But back to the boring scene and the scene that I hated the most. So Captain Marvel asks her friend to come into the suicidal mission in space so they can save the Skrulls.
I know exactly what you're gonna say, and I'm laughing in my head.
And well, you guys, if you're listening to this, you already watched the movie. Maria Rambeau has a daughter, and justifiably, she says, "No, I can't do that. I have a daughter. I have to stay here on Earth and make sure she's safe and take care of her." And then, in this almost cringy way, both Captain Marvel and Maria's daughter just started like shitting on Maria because she wouldn't go into this suicidal mission. And it was bad. The scene, it was horrible. It was cringy. It was corny. It made no sense whatsoever. Like, no one in their right mind will think that way. And I hated that scene. I hated it.
So what I think is that moment you're talking about is overlies most of the problems with this movie. Is that with its themes, it's a little bit too on the nose.
Yes.
Instead of trying to go the subtle route and trying to like get everyone together invested in the movie, they just go for those like quick, like corny punchlines that.
Right. I have no problems with the movie, empowering females and girls and wanting to. Yeah, I have no problems whatsoever. I have the problem is when they crowbar stuff like that and they're not subtle about it. And this scene was pretty bad about that. It's in your face. I hated that scene.
Between that and the "I'm just a girl."
Yeah. Well, so that brings me to another part that I actually do like the soundtrack in this movie. And you should know that 99% of the songs in this movie are female lead singers from the 90s. And I have no problems with because those bands were good. I mean, in my opinion, and those songs that they picked, I actually liked most of them. So I had no problems with that. And the only problem I had was when they introduced one of my favorite songs was "Come As You Are"
Nirvana,
by Nirvana, and not because I don't like the song. I love the song. But the way that they used it was when they chose to play that song, and the way that they played that song made no sense. There was no reason to play that song except that they just wanted to make sure they added a Nirvana song because this movie takes place in the 90s. Yeah. So it was obligatory that you had to play some Nirvana. So they put it there, and it just makes no sense in that setting, in that specific scene. They could have used any song, or not even no song at all. There was no reason to play any song whatsoever.
Yeah, speaking of that, I don't want to rag on the movie that much or too much because I do still like the movie, guys.
Yeah.
But what I want to say about that scene, what annoyed me with that specifically, and this happens throughout the movie to me, I think the sound is terrible. The transitions are terrible in the movie, editing-wise, where when that song came on, like none of us knew what the fuck was going on, really.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't any real good, strong transition to that song, which made it fall flat. And that happened up and down this movie. But if I could say, just to switch it up for a bit, I thought about it a little bit, and I think that I was thinking about something that could have saved the movie. I think that the movie should have opened with the crash when she's like flying with Marvel, Annette Bedding's character, where we get both of them talking to each other in a way that shows us their characters, like the kinds of people they are, and like what's at stake.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Like
think about it,
something like that, like, and it would have been nice to see Marvel as a badass too, rather than just some old woman.
it's like you almost get the impression that she's a badass, but you never get to see it.
Yes.
You like, at least that's how I felt when I was watching it. Like, I got to, like, because you see that Captain Marvel, what's her name in the movie? Carol
Danvers.
Carol admires this woman, like, very much so.
Yes.
And even when she comes on screen, I'm talking about Dr. Lawson, right? Marvel. She's I don't know, you get this feeling like she's a badass. And in the way that Carol admires her and everything, but you never get to see her.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, she only comes on and doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't do much. You don't get to see any of that. And so, yeah, I get your point. That would have been a cool way to show you more of the interaction between them two, and that will probably give Carol a more incentive to look, because the whole point of the movie is to find out where she comes from, right?
Yes.
And because she loses her memory throughout the
yes, and I think we all know, the audience all knows already.
Well, this
so
movie, like I said before,
so they tried to like hide it from us, but we all already know. So that's what I'm saying. If they showed us her personality from before the crash,
just to build up some more character, you know?
Yeah, then that would have made it a lot better.
I think overall, Brie Larson did a pretty good Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I liked her.
Yeah, I think she did the best she could what was given to her.
But there were moments, and you addressed this earlier, that the movie needed more tension, and I don't think maybe she wasn't directed the right way to portray that tension, because she's always like witty and you know, she's always cracking out jokes, and there's times for that, which she does throughout the entire movie, and it's great. But there are other times in the movie that she needed to be more to build up more tension towards.
She needed to be or seem tougher in a way.
Little bit. Yeah, I mean, no, throughout the movie she always, you know, tries to be as tough as she can.
Yeah, she's definitely a badass.
Yeah, but
like when it really mattered, like I wanted her to wipe that smile off her face and just
exactly
punch somebody.
Yeah. So I think they could have done that, but you know, they missed that also. But overall, I think she did a great job as Captain Marvel. Well, maybe not a great job, but she did a good job as Captain Marvel, because we've never seen a Captain Marvel before, so we don't know what to expect.
I think my favorite part, though, like I thought was funny in the beginning when she was fighting the Skrulls, and one of the Skrulls screamed, and she screamed back at the Skrull.
That was funny.
She was like, like I laughed out loud. That was a good moment. Yeah. So I know, like, she has that. It's good too to be lighthearted, but to be both, it's a hard thing to do.
It is.
They asked a lot of her, and she did the best she could.
She did, and what did you think? Okay, so I never asked you this, but what did you think of the 90s setting? Did they pull it off, in your opinion?
Yeah, I love the fact that she fell into Blockbuster. I mean, they showed it in the trailer, but, like, it's...
Yeah, they go from Blockbuster to Radio Shack, which, by the way, two companies that are, you know, long and gone.
I also think it was really good with the way that, when they showed the internet speed.
Right, that was hilarious. Yeah, they do little things here and there, like, you know, they show you how bad it was, the internet was back then, how long you had to wait for everything.
Made me think, kids, this is how it was.
You got it good nowadays. And, you know, the lack of cell phones and people using pagers.
Yeah.
So things like in payphones, they were still using payphones and whatnot. Things that, you know, they don't exist anymore. And the one thing I gotta note about this movie is they were getting really good at morphing someone's face to make them look younger.
Oh my god, yeah, that was the next thing I was gonna say.
So Samuel Jackson's character, Nick Joseph Fury, you know, he looks young in this movie. He looks really young.
Oh my god, the technology that these movies are having nowadays is just incredible, right?
I think what's the agent's name?
Coulson.
Coulson. They didn't pull it off as good as they did with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
There was something a little off with him. They did a good job, but I mean, I noticed there was something off with him.
I just wanted to see him alive.
Yeah. But Nick Fury, wow. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they're getting great at it.
Yes.
And another thing, now that we're talking about effects, I had a problem with the movie being a little too dark. Not dark theme as in the theme of the movie, but just the look.
Not emotionally dark,
right? The look of the movie.
Dark.
Yeah, physically, like to look at it was dark. It was hard to see things because it was dark, and especially at the beginning of the movie because it takes place in space. And and they use a lot of like what are they called? Like mist or like a lot of like effects to like hide the CGI, and that made it look really dark. And when you compare it to other movies in the MCU that takes place in space, like Thor Ragnarok or especially Guardians of the Galaxy, it's hard not to see those contrasts. Like both those movies that I just named, they're really colorful. The colors pop up, and you like being in there, in that world, in that space. Meanwhile, in this one,
so it didn't hit you in Captain Marvel.
No, it didn't. Maybe because they were trying to be too 90s. I don't know. But this is space in the 90s, so I don't know. No, there was, I think, in my opinion, they could have used more color. It would have been nicer to, make the movie more bright and, I don't know. That's my opinion on the color.
I guess we could wrap it up now by talking about what this means for Endgame. Like, does it amp you up more for Endgame, including the end credits scene?
Yeah, well, this movie comes out a month and a half before Avengers Endgame, which is, I think it was genius. Because they get you hyped just enough to wait, 6 weeks? So you can
give us more money.
So you can go see probably the biggest movie of this generation.
Yeah.
So
it is going to be the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, our parents had the Star Wars trilogy. We're gonna have the MCU and Avengers Endgame. So it's gonna be epic. And again, going back, they did a genius job in just releasing this movie a month and a half before Avengers Endgame. It got me super hyped. I can't wait to go watch Avengers now. And
I think with that writing team too, her character is going to be better.
Let's hope so. I hope they don't make her too powerful that she just comes in and beats Thanos. I really hope they don't.
Superman problem.
Yeah, I really, really hope they don't do that. I hope they explain her powers a little bit more. Oh, again, I was going to get into that in the spoilers, her powers. So her powers come from absorbing some energy from the Tesseract, right?
Yeah.
Now,
so she gets it from the space gem, basically.
Yeah, but, I mean, Thanos already has that, the Tesseract, plus 5 other Infinity Stones. So she's only a fifth of what Thanos is, when it comes to power. So she could never be, as powerful as Thanos.
One-on-one.
And other than that, Vision was a Infinity Stone himself, and he never looked as powerful as Captain Marvel. So I'm a little confused in that. That's what I want to know, where her powers come from and what her powers really are. And they did not make it clear in this movie. I hope in the next movie, in the Endgame, they explain it a little bit better, because I don't want her to just come in and just beat Thanos like it's easy, because she shouldn't. By their own logic, Yes, and I think personally for me, I hope it's not her to defeat Thanos, because I think Iron Man and Thor has such an emotional arc. Yes. And Peter Quill too. Yeah, and others too, because of what happened in Infinity War. Well, I'm going to call it.
It's really personal. It's personal with them.
It's
not really personal with Captain Marvel.
I'm going to call it. You know who's going to be Thanos? Well, it's going to be a collaboration with everyone that survived, but the one person that's going to beat Thanos, it's Iron Man. And he's going to do that, but he's going to die. And because if Doctor Strange can see in the future. And Doctor Strange gave his life so Tony Stark can live. He told him in Infinity War, I was like, you have to live. He told that to Iron Man, to Tony Stark. So I think Tony Stark is the one to give the final blast to Thanos, kill him, but doing so, he's also going to lose his life. So I'm calling it now. And that's what I think.
So I was thinking about that. I don't know if I think personally he's going to die. I think he might just get married and retire off with Pepper. Or he just disappears, like they do that Superman move. Where at the end he just disappeared. I don't know if I could see him dying though.
I don't know. He's been doing the role for I don't know, like a
long time,
like a decade or more. So we'll see. I don't know, but that's what I think it's.
All right, happen. People, give us your thoughts on that. I want to hear.
Tell us who's gonna be Thanos. And don't say Black Widow because I don't believe it. No, yeah,
Nebula.
Well, she wants it the most, right? Her and Drax. Yeah, they both really want to kill him.
Yeah, and Thor, and Thor. I want to see him because after he got Stormbreaker.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so hyped for this movie. I can't wait. So that's our Marvel Captain Marvel review, and this is the Pulp, and we'll be back with the next movie.
All right, we'll see you soon.
We're out.
Love you guys. Pulp out.
Peace.